Hey guys, we're live again. Hey County Boy, how are you? How is everyone tonight? We're about to hit 5.1k, guys. What the fuck? Thank you, Ryan. I like it too. Hey Fuzzy, hey Nicholas, hey Elijah. I bet you're ready to be off work. What's up, country boy? Someone in here just had your name. Just some barbecue chips. What's up, Zach? I'm maybe trying to find something true crime for us to watch. Today's your birthday. Happy birthday. You're from Iran? Well, hi to you in Iran. You're good, Christina. We don't talk about age in the chat. Because we don't. I did say Iran. What the fuck? Thank you, Christina. Right? That's what I'm saying. No. Wow. A mom slit her 11-year-old son's throat after taking him to Disneyland. Shit's crazy. Damn, Chef G pleads guilty to attempted murder. Why is it always Blackheart Island? What is wrong with people? Hey Soul, how are you, girl? Wow, people are fucking gross. A man murdered his wife after his wife catfished him. Oh yeah. There's this woman here in Ohio who was just accused of like essaying her student. She was a teacher. Right. It's crazy to even think about. Like, they always get caught. It makes no sense. Like, why even think you're gonna get away with it? How you can even think you're gonna get away with it in 2025 is crazy to me. Good morning, Guy. What are you talking about, Hanu? I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody made me cry. None of you guys make any sense. What's up, Clan? A wife hired her. Trying to write a mission statement. Nice. A wife ordered her husband and 4 lovers to torture another man for a week. All right, soul.
A wild story out of Ohio, and I
Oh,
promise
God.
you have not heard one like this before. A woman, her husband, and her 4 lovers, yes, 4, are all behind bars after police say they kidnapped, tortured, and held a man captive for an entire week. According to authorities, these lovers, who reportedly share multiple children, beat the victim relentlessly, barely let him eat or drink.
They all look like
and
they're
forced him
related
to stay awake
too.
for days.
All the men.
And the mastermind behind it all,
It looks like a
police say,
dad, a
is
grandpa,
Martina
and his
Jones.
3
I'll break down this bizarre case
nephew
for you
or
and walk you through the
son,
details.
grandsons.
For Long Crime News, I'm Kennedy Walker.
Sons
Really
and
quick, before we get into
grandsons.
the story, I wanted to announce the launch of our Law and Crime YouTube membership, a new program we launched to give you exclusive perks like custom emojis and badges, along with members-only live streams where you can chat with your favorite Law and Crime hosts and guests.
Get my
26-year-old
membership,
David
guys.
Cessna,
Not long crimes.
27-year-old Chance Johnston, 49-year-old Aaron Bradshaw, and Austin Bradshaw, who's 28. At this time, it's unclear if Aaron and Austin Bradshaw are related.
They're definitely
All 6
related.
were arrested on March 22nd. So how did we
They
get
look
here?
exactly
well, let's rewind
like.
to March 14th. Court documents allege that Jones, her husband, and her lovers kidnapped a 26-year-old man and held him against his will for a week. According to an interview given by Maumee Chief of Police Josh Farrow to WTVG, during that time, the group allegedly beat the victim repeatedly with their fists, elbows, and even a metal baseball bat, forced him to stand for hours at a time, deprived him of food and water, only allowing him to eat just once a day, and kept him awake, limiting him to just 10 hours of sleep during the 7-day span. Police say the victim was moved between 2 locations, a Red Roof Inn and a Toledo home. But on March 21st, the alleged victim finally saw an opportunity to escape. According to court documents obtained by WTVG, his alleged captors took him to a convenience store where he managed to get a message to someone inside. That person, assumingly realizing the urgency, reportedly called the one person who wouldn't hesitate to take action, his mother. And she did just that. Police say the victim's mother sprung into action, racing to the motel where she believed her son was being held. Moments later, Maumee police arrived after receiving reports of a disturbance. And that's when the alleged polygamous crime ring came crashing down. Officers arrested all 6 suspects, bringing an end to what police describe as a week-long nightmare. The alleged victim
That's
is expected to survive.
crazy.
Right now, it's still unclear how the victim knew his alleged captors or why he was targeted. But
He
one
was the
thing
5th
police
lover.
say was crystal clear. Martina Jones was reportedly the one in charge. Investigators claim she orchestrated the kidnapping and ordered the brutal beatings, directing her husband and 4 lovers to carry out the assaults. Now, Jones, Escueda, Cessna, Johnston, and the Bradshaws are all facing charges, including 1 count of kidnapping, 3 counts of felonious assault, and 2 counts of tampering with evidence. With these charges carrying significant prison time, this unconventional love affair may soon turn into a lifetime behind bars. Joining me to talk more about this is former Judge Fanon Rucker. Thank you so much for coming on. Let's dive right in. What kind of prison time could each of the 6 suspects face if convicted?
Well, so there's 2 ways that these sentences can run. They can run concurrently
That's
or
awesome,
they can run
Clint.
consecutively. Now, as far as years,
I bet it's so
kidnapping
cute.
itself as a first-degree felony generally carries 3 to 11 years in Ohio. The felonious, it's a first-degree felony. The felonious assault charges are generally second-degree felonies, and they carry about the same time, 15 years, using weapons involved. I mean, we're talking, decades that these people could potentially be facing if the judge runs these sentences consecutively, if they are in fact convicted.
What about if they take
Crazy.
A plea in this instance, and pleas can run the gambit. In Ohio, it is up to the judge to sign off and accept the plea once the parties agree to it. But we have something in Ohio called Marsy's Law. A lot of other states have passed it over the past 10 years that allows the victim the right to have a say in the proceedings of the case. They have the ability to be there at every stage of the proceedings. They have the ability to offer their position as to whether or not a plea should and would be actually even granted. And ultimately, at sentencing, the victim in Ohio has the right to give their input. So when we talk about a plea can only be entered into if the prosecutor makes an offer, and they're going to be real careful with the nature of these offenses and the nature of the allegations, with allowing the victim a significant amount of say-so in offering pleas to these defendants who did these outrageous and heinous acts to this individual, because what we know is that the paramour involved in all this actually lied about how she even got injured. But a plea could be anything from dropping the heaviest charges, allowing them to plead to assault charges, aggravated assault, which would only carry a couple of years each, or it could include merging the lower offenses and having them plead to the most serious charges, probably of kidnapping or the felonious assault charges, and they agree to something between 4 and 7 years. But again, it runs the range, and there's no way to know the prior criminal records of these individuals, the interests of the victim, whether the judge would even accept it based on the allegations, or if the victim would be inclined to agree to let these folks do something less, considering what he went through.
What challenges do prosecutors face in trying a group of defendants involved in the same crime?
Well, there's a couple of ways that these cases can be tried. Individually, each defendant can have a separate
Damn,
case
there's
and a
something in
separate
my eye.
courtroom before a separate judge. Or there are times when all the defendants are tried together. Now, that's a very rare occasion, because you do have individual circumstances and backgrounds and histories and actions of the individual defendant. What most likely happens is they look at the actions of all 5 of the person involved, and they go to one of them and say, hey, look, we think that you had the least amount of culpability. We know you got talked into. We know you were in purpose to do this. You were threatened in order to get involved. So we're going to offer you the ability to plead out to a lesser charge, get probation, as long as you testify to these other people's actions, because you really need that to ensure that you have a strong case that somebody who was part of it actually turns and tells on the others who were actually involved. And that can be a difficulty for the prosecution, is figuring out which one to offer a plea to, offering the right plea to encourage them to testify, and then, making sure that they're truthful and credible when they go to trial if the others decide they want to challenge the charges that they actually are facing.
Could the alleged polygamous relationship impact the case in any legal way, or is it irrelevant?
There's one husband and wife
Yeah, I
circumcision,
live in
and
Ohio
that's the
now.
actual woman who's at the center of this and her husband. And so there are certain immunities that apply, or there's certain prohibitions on the requirement of having either of them testify against each other. It's called spousal immunity. A spouse cannot be compelled or forced under the law to testify against their spouse. However, the fact that these other three men are involved in some type of relationship, they're not actually allowed to claim the spousal immunity that prevents them from being testified against, or from the others from testifying against them. So the polygamous nature of it may go to motive. It may go to the salacious nature of the facts itself, where the jury is sitting on the edges of their seat while they're watching. But from a legal standpoint, the only ones who are actually impacted by the nature of the relationship are the husband and the wife.
In this case, police are claiming the woman was the one in charge, and allegedly she was the one calling the shots. So could a plea deal be on the table for any of the suspects that aren't legally married to her in exchange for testimony?
They can offer a plea deal to the husband. Again, he can't be compelled to testify, but they can offer him a deal.
Christina, are you
If he
still here?
testifies, he's mad about the fact that his wife had these other
Soul, are
folks
you
and he
here?
really didn't want to do
Are
it.
you
So
guys
now
here?
he's like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and testify. The spouses can waive the privilege. They can't be forced to do it, but they can waive the privilege. So can a plea deal be offered to these individuals or to the husband or wife to testify against the others? Sure. Before I was a judge, for a very long time, I was a prosecutor for almost as long as I've served as a judge. And one thing that I can tell you from almost 30 years of practice and still going in and out of courtrooms is that truly the singular most powerful individual in the court system when it comes to criminal cases is the prosecutor. I mean, the prosecutor decides what charges are brought.
What's
The
up, back
prosecutor
to the
decides whether
basic?
and
How
to
are
what
you?
extent there are plea deals. And they decide the level of advocacy they make for the consequences that people may actually encounter if they are found guilty as they go through the system. The judge actually, of course, we had a whole lot of power to do things, but the prosecutor has a whole lot of discretion, and the exercise of that discretion is a demonstration of the weight of the power that they have. So what type of plea deals? It can be as broad as probation being offered to I don't like what you did. We have enough evidence and somebody who's going to testify against you. So we'll drop one half of one charge and you got to plead to the rest of them. Take it or leave it. I mean, that's the weight that prosecutors hold when it comes to the cases that they present and that they represent and advocate for.
If Martina Jones is found to be the alleged ringleader, what additional charges could she potentially face?
She can be, and anytime anyone is involved in an incident where there are a combination of two or more individuals who have agreed and who have consulted and acted in concert to commit a crime, there's a conspiracy charge. And the conspiracy charge is the same as the offense of the principal itself. So even if she didn't show up at that hotel room and engage in the torture that this individual was subjected to, her advising, encouraging, motivating, supporting, or assisting these individuals in committing that crime would subject her to the same penalties that they have for the injuries that he sustained, because she was the at the center and really perhaps the person who encouraged them to do this to this individual.
What's good, DSDG, sorry.
Did the defense argue that Martina Jones wasn't the mastermind and that another suspect was in charge, especially if it's found that she didn't hurt the victim herself?
I suspect that a good defense attorney in this case would argue that the most that she did was told her paramours what was going on. But she didn't know, she didn't encourage, she didn't tell them to go do something to him. That would be what a good defense attorney argues. I was just telling them what happened to my arm. And, they decided on their own that they were going to go and hurt this guy. But you kind of wonder with the nature of the intermingling of their relationships, whether she would fall on the sword or they would let her fall on the sword and get out of this with the lesser consequence. They seem very wrapped up in this individual, and they don't want anything to happen to them. I don't know.
Well, how does Ohio law define kidnapping, and what must prosecutors prove to secure a conviction?
On the kidnapping, essentially what you're proving is that someone, against their will, was removed or restrained from leaving. There's a fine line, or there's unlawful restraint, which says you didn't let somebody leave, or you kept somebody from going somewhere. Kidnapping is a bit more aggressive. It's where a person is conscious that they're being confined, and that you restrict and purposely keep them from exercising their freedom of movement. There's enhancements for kidnapping where it's being done for the purpose of committing criminal offenses or to inflict harm, which of course that's what we have here, which would take this to the higher end of the potential consequences.
Since the victim was allegedly moved between locations, does this make
Damn,
the case
did
more
Christina
aggravated?
leave?
Well, what makes it more aggravated is
I
the
think she
reason that
did,
they
huh?
actually moved him to another
Damn,
location.
dog.
The fact that he was moved or confined in his space, that's the kidnapping itself. But the purpose of and what they did once they removed him or kept him confined is the aggravating circumstance that makes this penalty much more significant.
I know we talked about a potential defense strategy for Martina, but what legal defense strategies could the other suspects use in a case like this?
As a former prosecutor and judge, it's hard to see what defense they would have, knowing what the allegations are. And certainly, it's difficult for us when we see news stories and when we hear from lawyers in 30 seconds clips talking about their clients, because what we don't know is what evidence the state had. We don't know what evidence they collected. We don't know what
My
witnesses
socks
may
are
have
so
heard
cute,
something
guys.
going on, who perhaps were in next door hotel rooms and heard the screams and the yells, or perhaps saw a car driving away. We have no idea what they have. So it's difficult to know what the defense strategy is. Overall, looking at the nature of the charges, the state is required in every offense to
They're
prove
like
their
little
cases
foxes.
by proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest standard that we have in our legal system. Essentially, the defense attorney is going to say, look,
so cute.
State, prove your case. Put on your witnesses. Show us your evidence. Convince the jury, all 10 jurors sitting in that box, you convince them by the highest weight that there exists in the legal system that all of the offenses,
thanks, girl.
all of
I
the
love
elements
them.
of the
They're
offenses
cute.
were met. And we're not inclined or required to prove anything by our defense. And that's
They're cute.
Then
they have like the little fuzzy around the ankles. They're cute as fuck. That's all you guys can see. They're like grippy socks too, so the bottoms are grippy.
Up to 6 months in jail. Then we have different degrees. Some states have
I'm kind of hungry, y'all.
Assault 2, assault 5. In Ohio, we have degrees of assault. So, aggravated assault, negligent assault, felonious assault. Now, and then there's a distinction between felonious assault and attempted murder.
They are the best. Grippy socks are the best. The only thing I don't like is I've caught myself trying to slide in the kitchen.
Felonious assault is essentially an assault. You got to prove somebody was causing physical harm to another, and either you cause serious physical harm to the person or you use a weapon during the course of committing that assault. And that's what takes it from a misdemeanor to a felony and increases those penalties exponentially.
If convicted of all charges, could any of the suspects face life in prison?
Not on these charges, not in actual life. Now, of course, if you get 30 years in prison and you're 55, it's essentially and technically a life sentence, but it's practically a life sentence, not technically. Technically, there is not a sentence of life available for these charges that have been brought here.
If during the course of the trial, the defense argues the victim had opportunities to leave but didn't, could that weaken the kidnapping charge?
It could.
You call it Lafayette. That's so cute.
Certainly, there could be an argument that at different times he was not being held against his will.
It's an interesting name.
Under threat of force or using force, that's when the kidnapping gets established. How far, to what extent the kidnapping was engaged, goes to the question of how severe of a penalty the person is facing. I mean, what we know here is the reason that we even have this case, what we believe, is because at one point he escaped, got to a speedway, and was able to flag down some folks and get some help. Well, the kidnapping had already occurred at that point. So that fact that he was able to escape doesn't undo the charge that has already occurred prior to that time.
Can we expect the victim to take the stand in this case, or based on the evidence, can the prosecution build a case without his direct testimony? Or if he doesn't take the stand, will this case crumble?
In the majority of cases where there's a victim, and we're talking about domestic violence, we're talking about assault charge, we're talking about aggravated assault,
They
or
usually
anything
have to
other than a murder
testify.
charge, the victim is usually the linchpin of the charge itself. I mean,
Yep.
barring the fact that they perhaps are in a coma, or because of the severity of the assault that was meted out on them, are unable to provide testimony. The victim is the one that really makes the case. They identify the individuals involved. They talk about the motive behind it. They talk about, to a very emotional degree, the consequences and how they were impacted by the outrageous and egregious actions of the perpetrator. So most of the time, prosecutors do not move forward on cases if the victims do not appear, or if the victim decides not to testify. Most of those cases are dismissed, what's called warrant of prosecution, where the judge were not able to proceed because the victim refused to testify. The judge were not able to appear because the victim has disappeared and we don't know, we can't find him. Because normally police have the evidence that they have is the testimony of the victim. Sometimes you have a confession, but you still need a corpus delicti, you still need the body in order to establish that there was an offense that occurred. So simply the confessed testimony, if you have it, of defendants is not sufficient in victim cases to obtain a conviction. So if the victim becomes uncooperative or perhaps disappears, it is very unlikely. Again, don't know what evidence they do have, but it's very unlikely that the case would proceed.
How likely is it that we'll skip a trial and the suspects will accept plea deals?
The majority of cases that we see in our system are resolved by pleas.
Yep.
It's the same in civil cases. Cases get filed, but cases get resolved. And the majority of cases do. And the most egregious cases normally are resolved by plea because all parties recognize there is some value in negotiating an agreed outcome rather than leaving it up to the wiles of 10 people whose days you don't know and whose history or background or interest you're not aware of. So it's possible and very likely, based on the percentage of cases that are actually resolved by pleas.
Great. Well, this is something that we will definitely be following. Thank you so much, Judge, for coming on today.
Thank you.
Court records show a
That
judge
guy
set
was a
$200,000
judge.
bond for each of them. For Law and Crime, I'm Kennedy Walker.
I will say this over and over and over again. Domestic violence injunction is just this. A protection order is just this. It's a piece of paper. It's
Yep.
never going to keep any woman safe when somebody is hell-bent to kill you. And clearly, this guy was hell-bent on killing her.
A Florida teenager comes home to find her mother murdered, shot dead by this woman's estranged husband. But just days earlier, he'd been arrested allegedly for attacking her and posted bond and was back on the streets. How did this happen, and could it have been prevented? Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
The system failed her.
Let's go back to Monday, March 31st,
Wow.
just past 2 in the morning out in Deltona. This is a suburban community in Volusia County, Florida. A teenager returns home and finds an unimaginable horror scene.
She just gets home and finds her mom dead. Could you imagine?
38-year-old Ashley Vaya, a mother of 3, was lying there lifeless, dead from apparent gunshot wounds. Just imagine that for a second. Imagine how much of a nightmare that is for this daughter. And the man authorities say was responsible for Ashley's death, her 33-year-old estranged husband, Samuel Vaya, who apparently fled the scene, was apprehended. But here's the thing, ultimately couldn't be saved from what authorities say was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He died. Now that might be where this story ends, but it's not where it begins. Because it turns out just a week or so before this terrible tragedy, authorities arrested Samuel in a domestic violence incident. This was back on March 23rd for allegedly cornering Ashley inside the bedroom of her home over suspicions that she was cheating. And Ashley's 19-year-old daughter, the same teenager who found her dead, she was the one who actually saved her a week earlier, rushing into the room and, quote, spooking Samuel away. Deputies ended up responding at nearly 2 a.m. Samuel was arrested. He was booked on a battery charge, but unfortunately, he was able to post that $2,000 bond, return to the streets, and eventually return to Ashley's home to commit the unthinkable. Now, before we go any further into the story, I want to bring on a special guest here on Sidebar, help break all this down. I'm joined by police sergeant and host of the podcast Shots Fired.
My
Kyle
mods are
Schoberg.
starting to
Kyle,
slack
thanks so much for coming
again,
back here on the
dog.
show. Just your overall thoughts on this case before we get into more of the specifics.
Well, yeah, I mean, as you look at this is a despicable crime, and the fact that her daughter found her, that makes it even worse. And it is sad to say that oftentimes in these domestic violence types of cases, they do turn out to be lethal. And so there are red flags and signs that you constantly have to evaluate and look for in law enforcement to try to protect the victims of domestic violence. And in this case, unfortunately, she could not be safe. Even though he was arrested, there was a restraining order against him. Ultimately, he ended up taking her life, led police on a chase, and took his own life. So the whole thing is just sad.
Well, by the way, given that he was arrested for domestic
Saying
battery,
she
just
couldn't have been
days before
saved.
the murder, obviously they didn't.
Yeah,
know
she
this was
could
gonna
have.
happen,
If he
but
would have been
what are the
stayed
factors
arrested.
that go into whether a suspect will be held without bond in such cases? I mean, obviously 2020, going back looking at what happened, but is $2,000 bond appropriate in a case like this?
Well, I think you got to take a look at the charges. So in looking at his booking document, it looks like he was booked for a misdemeanor domestic violence charge. And so you have two different types of domestic violence charges. You have a felony, which would be visible injury to the victim. And then you have a misdemeanor, which could be, hey, he pushed me, he threw me to the ground, but there's no visible injury. That person would then still be arrested but charged for a misdemeanor. And it looks like that's what he was charged with in this case. And so $2,000 is a low dollar amount to bail out. They did get, it looks like, a restraining order against him, against Ashley. So he was supposed to have no contact with her, but at the end of the day, like you tell all these victims, that is just a piece of paper. And so you do have to take necessary steps to protect yourself and your family.
Hey, I just want to take a quick sidebar from Sidebar to thank Odoo for sponsoring this episode. And here's the thing, Odoo, an incredible
No, not you,
business
Christina.
management
You're
software
always
that provides
here.
you with a range
You're
of applications
like one
the
of the
Projects
most
app.
helpful
And we know
ones.
managing projects can be tough, but with Odoo Projects app, it doesn't have to be. You need a clear timeline? The Gantt view helps map out your tasks, helps you stay on track. But for a more flexible approach, the Kanban view lets you move tasks easily from to-do to done. And if you like structure, the list view gives you all the details at a glance. Plus, Odoo's comprehensive dashboard keeps you updated on task status, activities, remaining time, so you're always in control. And with powerful reporting tools, you can track your project's budget, milestones, profitability in real time. The Odoo Projects app helps you stay organized, meet deadlines, and boost productivity. So right now, you can get a free 15-day trial of Odoo's all-in-one business solution. Scan the QR code on screen or check it out at our link, odoo.com/sidebarproject. And just to be clear, if anybody's unfamiliar with this, there's nothing that police do, right? They don't just watch him and watch his movements moving forward. There's nothing that police actively do afterwards or any protocols put in place to make sure he abides by the court order, right?
Nope.
Correct. And here in the state of California, you are mandated at the jail to contact the victim and let the victim know, hey, your abuser is bailing out of jail or he will be released from custody, giving them a heads up that this person is going to be released from custody. So if they do need to take necessary steps to either leave the location that they're at, find a different place to stay. And I would venture to guess every law enforcement agency has this protocol in place where we do offer victims what we call a safe house. And if they need to go to this safe house, absolutely nobody knows where this house is. Oftentimes law enforcement officers don't even know where this house is. We would get them hooked up with advocates. They would then take them to this safe house where nobody would know where they're at other than the advocate and then the victim. And so I'm not sure if this was offered to her. I would imagine it is. The sad thing is most of the time when you offer these things to victims, they deny it because they don't want to think that their abuser would get out of jail and harm them again. Domestic violence situations are really tricky because you're talking about emotions in these. And so you play with emotions and people's relationships, that affects those decisions a lot of the time.
And it affects family too. I mean, one of the idea that this daughter found her mother dead, but the idea that this daughter also jumped in, and we're going to get into more specifics of what happened.
I can't
How often,
imagine.
generally speaking, do you see
How old am I? I'm 29.
bystanders or family members jump in to deter these incidents of domestic violence? Does it happen a lot?
Yeah, honestly, Jesse, most of the time, kids get involved in these. And look, I grew up in a domestic violence household where my dad abused my mom, and me and my sisters would have to run to the neighbors and call the cops on my own father. And so I totally understand that type of dynamic. And so being a law enforcement, going to these calls a lot, I mean, daily, oftentimes it is kids that interject into these situations and either have to call the cops themselves or, you know, a lot of times it's really sad that these kids will even fight off their own parents who are abusing, whether it's dad or mom, and directly get themselves involved. And so, believe it or not, yes, this happens more times than not.
Yeah, it's a really unfortunate situation. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I wanna take a step back though, and I want to talk about this more. So let's go back now to that first domestic violence incident. So on the morning of Sunday, March 23rd, deputies from the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, they responded to a domestic disturbance reported at Ashley's home. And according to the charging affidavit that was obtained by Law and Crime, Ashley told police that she and her ex-husband Samuel had been divorced for a little over a year, but the two were trying to rekindle their relationship, trying to maybe see if they could work things out. They were seeing each other on again, off again. But in this particular incident, Ashley told officers that Samuel, who had a key to her home, walked into the master bedroom, grabbed her cell phone off the bedside table, and began trying to get into her phone to see if she was cheating on him. And when she attempted to retrieve the phone, it fell to the floor, and that's when things reportedly became physical. According to the affidavit, Ashley stated Samuel then grabbed her by her shoulders and began pushing her into the master bathroom and closing the door behind them once they were both inside. Ashley explained she was telling Samuel to stop and let me out while he continued to berate her about infidelity
What
accusations.
the fuck?
Ashley stated she attempted to yell and tell her phone to call 911, but again was unsuccessful. Ashley advised that when she began yelling for him to let her out of the bathroom, Samuel covered her mouth for a few seconds and said, "Stop lying to me and tell me the truth." Ashley then told deputies that is when she began calling for her daughter, who was sleeping on the other side of the house. And it was only when Ashley called out for her daughter that Samuel abruptly fled the scene. Ashley told police that Samuel had a weapon, a firearm, on him. And when authorities tracked him down at his father's home, that interaction, captured on body-worn camera footage, shows officers confiscating a firearm that he had tucked into his waistband. In fact, take a look at this footage and what Sheriff Michael Chitwood of the Volusia County Sheriff's Office had to say about that incident during a media briefing.
We arrive on scene, they tell us who he is. He's a couple doors away at his dad's house. When deputies take him into custody, he's armed with the firearm. That's 323, and he's arrested for battery and domestic violence.
So, according to court records, he was charged with a battery count, a first-degree misdemeanor, as we talked about. 3 days later, March 24th, he posted bond, set at just $2,000. Again, he was out there to walk free. Kyle, when you look at this, the affidavit states that Samuel entered Ashley's home with a key during their, attempted reconciliation. How did deputies advise victims in on-again, off-again relationships to secure their homes, to stay safe in situations like this?
Yeah, well, it goes back to, again, just letting victims know, trying to,
Yeah, guys.
It sounds like a volatile situation.
I think I'm gonna go through and
get
unmod some
The
people.
problem is if she gave him a key to the house and he's been actively coming and going from that residence,
because there's too many people. Like, people are slacking hard, and I really need people who are here
just showed up at her house uninvited,
who
walks
are,
inside,
like,
assaults her like that. Then
trying
here in
and.
California, you could be charged with felony burglary charge, assault, all sorts of things.
I don't have any issue with people that are busy or, whatever.
Confiscated when he was released from jail.
At least let a girl know.
Restraining order. He was supposed to surrender all his firearms. Sounds like he surrendered 3. Obviously, he kept 1. And that's the other part of this is there really is no accountability for that. Just because we tell you you're supposed to surrender your firearms, we expect the people to actually do that. And so that also becomes very tricky because where's the accountability piece in making and ensuring that all firearms are actually turned over?
And I'm going to get to that in a second because you make a really, really good point. One of the scary aspects of this is that if her daughter wasn't there, look, we're dealing with a situation where she was killed regardless, but in another situation, if a family member isn't there, she couldn't get access to her phone. Are there other ways that, law enforcement advise people in these situations, another way to contact law enforcement? Are there other security apparatuses they can put in place at a home if maybe they don't have easy contact to their phone?
Well, there's not much else you could do other than maybe tell your neighbors, hey, if you see him come to my house, if you see his car here, like, please immediately contact law enforcement. He's not supposed to be here. And that actually happens. We'll have neighbors or someone call and say, hey, I just noticed that, this person showed up at this house. I understand they were just arrested for domestic violence, not supposed to be here. And sure enough, we show up, and that is the case, and then we will end up arresting that person. So, I mean, you can take all the safety measures in the world you want. At the end of the day, if somebody wants to carry out a particular crime, they're going to find a way to do it. And unfortunately, if he took her phone and locked her in the bathroom, her options are pretty limited. And luckily, that night, her daughter was there. But like you said, ultimately, this ends up in a tragic murder anyways.
So the day after Samuel posted bond, so this is now March 25th, as we were talking about, the court issued a no-contact order commanding him to not only stay away from Ashley, but also, as we talked about, to surrender any firearms in his possession to the sheriff's office within 48 hours of receiving the order. But again, it turned out some of his firearms, he might have turned some of them in, but not all of them. Take a listen to what Sheriff Chitwood had to say about that.
The court issues an order for him to turn over all of his firearms to us. He turns, clearly not all of them in, he turns 3 of them in. And then you fast forward, to the 31st, and here we have a mother of 3, a 2-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 21-year-old who is basically executed. And, again, it goes back to...
That's fucking sad.
Over and over again. Domestic violence injunction is just this. A protection order is just this. It's a piece of paper. It's never going to keep any woman safe when somebody is hell-bent to kill you. And clearly, this
Or
guy
man,
was
it's not
hell-bent.
just women that go through this, it's men too.
It seemed was exactly that hell-bent. Kyle, just going back to this, that 48 hours to surrender the firearms, is that a standard timeline? What verification process exists to confirm that all the firearms are surrendered? Talk to us about that.
Yes, that is true. You are supposed to surrender all of your firearms. And look, there is no accountability for that. If law enforcement takes it upon themselves to go to the dad's house, if that's where he lives, to confirm that he turned in all firearms, let's say we go there and we locate a firearm, well, then he would be charged with a new crime of being in possession of that weapon when he was supposed to turn it in. But at the end of the day, there is not a whole lot of accountability for that. The expectation is just that these people turn in their firearms. And I've never thought it made sense, because take a guy like this who's hell-bent on hurting this girl, why would we just expect these people to turn in all of their firearms? So yeah. I've never even been a big fan of that. I've never liked that there is no accountability for it. And too often times things like this happen because of that.
And I want to get into that. I want to get into exactly what happened now on the day of this tragedy. So, in the early morning hours of March 31st, Samuel made his way back.
So what are my mods
home.
up to? What's everyone up to?
What transpired inside those walls may never really be fully known, but the outcome we know.
Let's talk, mods. We gotta have conversation. Let's get this chat popping.
Ashley, a mother of 3, including a 2-year-old child that she shared with Samuel, she is now gone. And Ashley's 19-year-old daughter, who again was able to save her the first time, this time showed up too late. And she arrived home shortly after.
Poor girl. That's gotta be like killing her
although she
too.
wasn't able to save her mom, and clearly this is
knowing that she couldn't be there for her mom. Man, that's...
police a lead. And by the time deputies arrived at the scene after 2 in the morning, Samuel had already sped away in his vehicle, a white SUV. But the information from Ashley's daughter, coupled with what Samuel's father also told police, helped track them down, or track his vehicle down, chase him down. And here's what Sheriff Chitwood had to say about this lead and what was a high-stakes chase.
At 2:23 a.m., we received a call to come to 3203 Parma Avenue in Deltona. It was the victim's 19-year-old daughter on the phone saying that she had heard screaming, glass breaking, and gunshots, and she was locked in her bedroom. She was afraid to go out, but she believed that the perpetrator was the ex-husband of her mom, Samuel Valla. And she also let us know that last week we had arrested him in possession of a firearm during a domestic dispute inside of the house. At that same time, we then get a phone call from the suspect's father, who lives up the street, and said, my son just left the house, told us that Ashley was shot. He's in camo gear, he's got a bulletproof vest, he's got a long gun and a handgun on him. Deputies automatically entered the vehicle, which was a 2020 Range Rover, into the tag readers at 2:47 a.m. There's a tag reader hit in Daytona on that vehicle. A few minutes later, Air 1 is up and picks up the vehicle on 95 northbound. Our sergeant gets behind the vehicle. In that pursuit was St. Johns County, Daytona Beach Police Department, FHP, us, and Flagler. When they get up to 5,000 Parkway, Palm Coast Parkway up there, Hammock Dunes Parkway, wherever it is, the vehicle rolls over, and then there's a standoff. He's inside of the vehicle. Flagler SWAT team is out there, and I think it's a 3:21 is when the rollover occurs. You know he's on, and with his body armor. SWAT team gets out there. They make announcements. Drones are flying. They decide to try to break into the windshield
Yeah,
of the car,
so
where they observe that the suspect has a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, where he is subsequently pronounced dead on the scene.
So for nearly 2 hours, law enforcement waited in this standoff, trying to negotiate with Samuel. They actually ended up apprehending him, even taking him to the hospital, but he succumbed to his self-inflicted injury. Kyle, you know, this vehicle pursuit, this standoff, talk to us
that
about
poor
what goes
daughter
into this,
too,
what
man.
officers, how they prepare for this, and because this is a really high-stakes situation, and clearly it resulted in him dying and taking his own life. But talk to us about how officers prepare for it and what we should be thinking about it.
Yeah, look, I was just in a vehicle pursuit yesterday with a guy armed with a firearm who had committed a violent crime and ended up in the same circumstance. Crashed his car, and we had to have the SWAT team come out, and he barricaded himself inside the vehicle. And so it just goes back to you never know what you're dealing with or who you're dealing with. What are they armed with? And in this case, he's wanted for murder. And going back, he talked about, he put the license plate in the tag reader. He's talking about a license plate reader. And most cities around now have that type of technology. And so as soon as that license plate hits one of those license plate readers, dispatch, officers, everybody gets notified of exactly where the vehicle's at.
Hey, I'm gonna run and pee real quick, guys. I'll be right straight back. I'll hurry up. Okay, I'm back, guys. I know you guys missed me so much. Yeah. I'm back. Yes, I do have a boyfriend. He's pretty dope, too. You'd like him. Yeah, the daughter's scarred. Oh, I gotta plug my computer in. Whoopsie daisy. Where I put my vape, by the way? Hey, Kai, is my vape in there on the couch? I think it is, you guys. Hang on. Papa the Pig and Daddy Pig. Okay, I'm back. Oh, you're going to bed, Christina? Do I have mods still in here? Okay, just you. Hey, at least you're here. A lot of my mods have been slacking heavy. Brian, are you down to listen to some and talk about some true crime stuff with me? Oh, she is with me. See my kitty? She's running away. She's such a cute cat. Because she loves you. It's because she loves her. Yeah, she's just trying to clean herself. Don't meow at me. I go to pat her and she leaves. The United States Supreme Court's trying to decide if they're going to dismiss the charges against her. That's what's going on right now. Is that a video, Brian? What's up, Salty Spike? Nice name. So, Brian, about that Karen Reed thing. Amazon want to purchase TikTok. TikTok needs to be sold to American company by Saturday. Yeah, so Amazon's trying to buy TikTok. Interesting. That'd be cool. They're like the last people I expected to try to buy TikTok. Do you guys think that the TikTok company, it's like something Byte, do you think they're gonna go for it? Do you think they'll sell TikTok? Amazon owns Twitch. Really? I didn't know that. I'm not gonna lie, I did not know that.
I have a Spider-Man toy car. Daisy's letting me pet her.
Because she loves you.
And her nail's really pretty when I pet her. Yeah, that's a really pretty nail. It sounds really pretty. Daisy is really pretty.
He loves her.
Really next to me.
I've never seen a boy have such a bond with a cat. He loves his Hazy. I can't imagine Twitch being owned by the same company that owns TikTok. What's up, Sean B? No, I didn't know that. But I don't use Twitch, so I don't know a whole lot about it.
I think her loves me too. Her just doesn't want to say it.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, we're about to hit 5.1. I see you almost at 1 million views. Yes, I'm almost at 1 million views, guys. Isn't that fucking crazy? A million people have seen my streams. Holy wow. That's actually crazy to think about. I never thought I'd get here, guys. For real. Also, I want to give a shout out to my mods who are always here, day in and day out. You guys are fucking awesome. I couldn't do this shit without you guys. Especially Eric, my baby. Thank you for all you do. You are the best. Yeah. You alright? Oh. Aw, thank you so much, Axe. That's so sweet of you. welcome to your new membership, Zombie or Southern Zombie.
Oh, never mind. It's on all of my days. Yeah, it's all of my days.
You guys don't know how proud I am to be monetized again. It feels so good to be monetized. I was really worried it wasn't gonna happen, you guys. But yeah, as I was saying, thanks to all my mods who show up every day. Cause a lot of my mods have really been slacking bad. Barely showing up. When they are here, they'll like come, comment for a second, and just leave. So for real, thank you guys. Bye, best sisters.
I'm such a big fan. Don't turn in. I'm such a big fan of Sonic. Don't turn into Sonic or anyone else's one.
Yes, make sure your gifted membership thing is turned on.
Sonic! Tails and Sonic! I knew they are together. I knew they love each other. As friends. Now let's come. Sonic, you make it first. I couldn't be happier for Sonic to win. Get me out of here. Where'd you go? Oh. Hey, yes! I'll get there, Sonic. Tails, wait for me.
So what all did you guys do today? Did you all have a good day? Yeah, have you been able to find a new doctor yet, Axe?
No. Can't jump off. That's a lot of humans that died.
You've had a PA, a physician's assistant. Isn't that what that means? I don't know what color to color this bomb.
If you don't
Ow.
make it on. I'm playing on. There should be dead bodies here. But it's okay. It's not anything. Now mine's dead body in there. Wait, guys. More like I can't beat this thing. Wait. Are these dead bodies? Oh, come here.
Bless you, babe.
Thank you, Mom.
I don't like this one.
Why is everybody laying down? Take that back out. I want to be in a school dance. Like, yeah, like, Sonic. I don't care about Sonic.
You had an X-ray of your neck yesterday? How'd that go? Oh no, that sucks. Sorry you gotta go through that, Brian. Okay, I found the color I want to use.
Do we have another chocolate milk?
Yeah, but you're gonna drink both of them now? Why don't you save the other one for later?
I'm done with my chocolate milk. I just went in a literal baby. I just went on. I literally just went on a game on Roblox of Thanos from Squid Game, and then they're playing all their songs.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to chill with it.
What about your ex?
Why is there singing the dance from Thanos? From the Thanos
I don't know.
trying to get out.
Oh, your knees start hurt when you stand too long. Gotcha. Sorry about that.
Oh my god! Now I have to listen to the song.
Damn, it's 71 degrees there. Holy shit.
Join the squid bag. Now, join me. Okay, so you have it in your hand.
You have your AC on. We had the AC on today as well. We have the heat on now, but we had the AC on. I don't think my laptop charger's plugged in. Let me finish calling this and I'll go check in it. Is there any other mods here? Is there anyone else even here at all?
That's enough of the Venmo dance song. I heard it way too much. My ears are gonna die. Even if I even hear the silly song, I'm gonna die. My ears are gonna die. Spanish school is two. Thanos
So you don't want to save it for later?
I just want one more. And then the rest.
You only had 2.
I only want one.
You only have 1 left. I'm almost done with this, guys, and then I'll get the computer going again. And we'll listen to some true crime stuff.
Mom,
What?
that's me when I'm a baby in Roblox. Mom,
What?
Roblox recreated one of our pictures.
Let me see. Let me see what you're talking about.
Do that.
Okay. I don't know. I asked you to let me see it, but I didn't see it. Huh. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We took that picture.
Hey, Hong Kong.
But now they recreated
Ow! Smacked me right in the head.
you when I was a baby.
I blame Hong Kong. It was his fault.
So are you serious? Are you serious right now?
Wow, Hong Kong, you did that to me.
Okay, I'll save the chocolate milk.
Hong Kong is not innocent. Hong Kong is guilty. Hong Kong has been proven guilty in a court of law. Attempted murder. Hong Kong wants to kiss your axe, Brian. He told me last night on the stream. You sent me a video? Okay, hang on. Hey, Bianca. I'm almost done. So Hong Kong, when were you gonna tell me that you've been trying to get with my moderators? I got screenshots earlier. Thank you, X.
The most hardest hobby.
Well, Bianca, Hong Kong's been trying to fuck my mods. Is it? Wow, crazy.
Whopper, Junior, double, triple. Remember the meme? Whopper, 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 Junior, double, triple, Whopper, flavor, taste is perfect, Whopper, Whopper. Lettuce, pickle, pickle, ketchup, it's okay if I don't. Do you know this song? What's the name of the song?
I don't know, but you've been singing it nonstop for like 3 days, so.
I didn't know.
I'm sorry you're always bored, Bianca.
Whopper, 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 Junior, double, triple, Whopper, flavor, taste is perfect, Whopper, lettuce, mayo, pickle, ketchup, it's okay if I don't know. Whopper, 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 Junior, double, triple, Whopper.
Here in a minute, I'm gonna play some more true crime stuff. I just want to finish coloring this page real fast.
Whopper, 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 Junior, triple Whopper, flavor, taste is perfect, Whopper. Did you know the Whopper main is in Burger King? Yeah, so Burger King recreated. Did you know that?
No.
Soda Burger is a real burger.
Yeah.
Whopper, 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 Junior, double, triple, Whopper,
Send
flavor,
help.
taste is perfect, Whopper, lettuce, mayo, pickle,
Almost done. Okay, please stop. Please. Oh my god, you guys. Yeah, put your notifications on so you know when your girl's live. I go live every day, multiple times a day sometimes. Sometimes only once. Really depends. Hi, please stop. Oh my god. I feel like I'm non-existent. I'm not really for sure, J-Man. Nothing in mind quite yet. Oh my god, please stop. You're driving me crazy in here.
It's not that bad.
It is. It really is.
It's actually a good song.
No, it's really not, Kai. Maybe to you, but I don't like it. He's never gonna stop, guys. Oh my god, I think I'm done. Oh my god. Okay, please watch something else. I can't keep hearing this.
How about you go upstairs so you can't hear it?
No.
Then how about get out of the house so you can hear it?
Straight up told me to go upstairs so I don't have to hear it. Not you, Bianca. He's just singing this one part of the song over and over and over and over. And playing it over and over and over and over. Oh my god, Kai. He won't stop. Yes, it's like Baby Shark. You get it, Axe. You get it. Do you guys have any cases recommended? Or any videos to recommend? Oh my god. Please stop. Just stop playing the same things over and over, man. Oh my god. I can't do it, man. Oh my god, I am sweaty. Almost done. I'm doing the last little part now.
I wish that thing was the last part of your video. So this one over. Yeah, I'm actually just.
Ox, did you say you sent me a video?
For this to be a great fight. That's Sonic tapes. Sonic tapes liar.
Whatever, that's good enough. I'm over it. I can't do it anymore.
Sonic liar.
Okay, let me get up and plug this in real fast, and then, yeah. Try not to break all my pens. Okay. Turn that motherfucker on. Find a snacky snack. My kid. Oh my god, I'm gonna fall over. Hey Kai,
What?
are you hungry?
No.
No?
I love to listen to the liar.
Okay, water's poured in. I'm just making some oatmeal.
Bruh.
Hang on.
on his way. To be honest.
Okay, we're good, guys. Oatmeal's on. You're a bird. Where is everyone? I don't fucking know. It's been dead all night. Which I don't really mind, if we're being honest. Oh my god. I'm just making me some oatmeal. Okay, Axe, you said you sent a video. Let's look. What'd you send a video on? Discord? Did you send a video through Discord, Axe? Or through Facebook? Because I don't know if I got a message. Send it in a Discord message. If you can even hear me right now. Still a minute left. Guys, my YouTube monetization is completely set up now. I had to set up my bank account stuff again. But where I was already monetized, all my stuff was already done. Like, my identity was verified, yada yada. I'm excited, you guys. We're monetized again. Yes, thank you, J-Man. I'm excited about it. Okay, Karen Confidential. Let me grab my oatmeal and then we'll listen to that.
Welcome to Can Confidential. We are getting closer to seating a...
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put it in for 30 more seconds and we're done. I miss Eric, you guys. It actually becomes a problem missing that man. I hate it so bad. I wish I never had to miss him. I can't wait till we're together. Okay, oatmeal's done. Ooh, go oatmeal. Okay, we're good to go. We'll be back in a few minutes. Alright. Okay, let's listen to some true crime stuff.
jury in the Karen Reed murder retrial. Thanks for joining us. I'm Glenn Jones.
I'm Jason Monahan. One juror.
I don't know if any of you guys were following the Karen Reed trial.
Today. This was day 3 of jury selection.
She killed her husband, tried to, well, supposedly, and tried to say that it was
Also tonight, a story that is still breaking. Reed has
police corruption and that they killed him.
To the nation's highest court, the U.S. Supreme Court.
I don't know.
She's been trying to get 2 of the charges she's facing dismissed.
And at this hour, the Canton Police Audit Committee is holding a meeting, their first since the results of that audit were released. And while the audit found police made a number of errors in the early stages of the John O'Keefe investigation, they didn't find anything consistent with a conspiracy. We're going to go live to Canton as that meeting gets underway.
Once again, there's a lot going on, but we begin tonight with the latest developments inside of Norfolk Superior Court in Denham.
NBC 10's John Maroney has a closer look at the process of selecting a jury.
It is going faster than anticipated.
Karen Reed and company leaving court without comment after another day of jury selection. She's pleaded not guilty to hitting and killing her boyfriend John O'Keefe with her SUV, leaving the Boston police officer to die in a blizzard.
Ms. Reed starts this trial presumed to be innocent.
Yeah, he was a
The
police
fact that
officer
she was
too.
Arrested or that she was indicted is not proof of anything.
It was deja vu as Judge Beverly Cannoni instructed about 40 potential jurors on the case, the law, and their role as fact finders. Each filled out a 3-page jury questionnaire, which included questions about everything from the defendant to law enforcement to media coverage. NBC 10 legal analyst Michael Coyne.
It's surprising that so many are able to put aside what they know and at least promise the court that they will only resolve the case on the evidence submitted during the second trial.
The jurors in waiting were polled with similar results to earlier pools. 93% of them said they've heard of the case. 53% say they formed an opinion, and 10% say they had a bias either for or against Karen Reed.
What is surprising is that roughly 10% of them have been saying they don't know anything about the case.
The jurors are questioned at sidebar by the judge, prosecution, and defense.
I'm not
the process
sad.
is slow but moves, with potential jurors from the previous day returning to be questioned.
I think the logistics are working out very well.
The 10 jurors selected are split right down the middle, 5 men and 5 women. Jury selection resumes tomorrow morning. In Dedham, John Maroney, NBC 10 Boston.
There's a new billboard paying tribute to John O'Keefe in his hometown of Braintree. The billboard can be spotted right above 93 near the Braintree split. It features, as you see, a picture of Officer O'Keefe, as well as the phrase, "Remember him." Now, this week, the long-awaited audit of the Canton Police Department was released. It was prompted by the death
It's
of
just
Officer
oatmeal.
O'Keefe.
The audit found a series of crime scene errors in the early stages of the investigation, and right now the town's police audit committee is meeting for the first time since the report's release. NBC 10's Michael Rosenfield joins us live from Canton with a chance to set the scene for us, Michael.
Glenn, the report and audit into the Canton Police Department was just released earlier this week, but tonight it's being formally presented to the Canton Police Audit Committee. That meeting just getting underway as we speak right here inside Canton Town Hall. That audit took a look at the police department.
That's
including a
crazy,
review
Ryan.
of the Karen Reed investigation.
It is, yeah,
the
it's
company
sweet.
hired to conduct the audit criticized police for gathering evidence in the Reed case using plastic Solo cups in a paper shopping bag, not photographing John O'Keefe's body in the snow before it was removed by paramedics. And police should have remained on the scene until a secondary search for evidence took place later in the day. On the other hand, the audit found no indication that police tampered with any evidence or tried to frame Reed for her boyfriend's death. Still, there were practices, protocols, and procedures that need drastic improvement.
The biggest thing for any law enforcement agency is having the training and the resources available to be a professional agency. And the report was pretty clear about the needs, from detectives' needs right down to sergeants, right down to patrol officer needs. But supplying resources and not the training is still not all the way there yet.
So there will be no public comment tonight. Instead, a special meeting has been set up for that. That'll take place Saturday afternoon over at Canton High School. That's when the public will get a chance to ask questions about the audit. Well, I haven't. Michael Rosenfield, NBC 10 Boston.
All right, Michael, we want to bring in attorney Morgietta Dourcier now to talk more about this case. Joining us in studio, what just happened is Karen Reed has now taken her double jeopardy case to the Supreme Court. What does that mean?
So first of all, we're not surprised, or we shouldn't be surprised. She and her team are doing everything that they can to protect her rights. So essentially, this is the same argument that they've been making all along since those jurors came out. I think what's important to remember is that the Supreme Court actually has to vote first on whether or not they're going to accept to hear this case. So they need at least 4 of the 9 justices. That vote takes place, I think actually there's 2 sessions happening this month, and then it could take a few months to get on the docket for briefing and scheduling and things of that nature. But not surprised that this is a move that they made.
Well, let's think this all the way.
Do you think they'll pick it up?
I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely a unique set of circumstances, and this entire case has a lot of unique circumstances. So it may be interesting to them to review this issue, right? And so if they do pick it up, I wouldn't be surprised.
And if they do, does Judge Canoni
Probably, Sophia. I just did, though.
her retrial until the U.S. Supreme Court has decided about its appeal?
Yes. At that point, if they fully accept it and they're going to put it on their docket, and the jury has been sworn in, she would have to wait.
Well, in the meantime, we are trying to find a jury. So let's talk a little bit about the selection process so far. We have seated 10 jurors so far. Let's look at how it breaks down. Most jurors say that they've heard about the case. 53% formed an opinion, 10% were biased for or against Karen Reed. On day 2, 89% of potential jurors said they knew about the case, 44% formed an opinion, 16% some kind of bias, and now today 93% of the jury pool said they knew about the case, and then you can see the rest of the numbers there. So, Morgietta, how surprised are you about that breakdown of numbers in the jury pool, and that we're at 10 already?
I'm a little surprised, I'm not going to lie. I think that what's surprising is the number of people who have heard the case and are still willing to move forward and have a unbiased opinion about the facts that they're hearing. I think that's great because jury selection really is supposed to be just about the facts that you're hearing, and I think it's refreshing to know that the people of the Commonwealth, you can't avoid it at this point, but we have enough people that are, you know what, I've heard about it, but I'm willing to do my civic duty and sit on this jury and be unbiased. So I think it's great.
Let's compare this time to the last trial. So if you take a look at where we stand, the jury selection process after 3 years last
definitely
time, we had
not.
12 jurors picked. Right now we have 10. So you can say the process moving a little slower this time, but as you just mentioned, Morgietta, faster than I think most of us had anticipated for the entire jury selection process. I didn't know this. You get 16 vetoes on each side. Basically, you don't have to give a reason why you don't want someone. I don't want Glenn. And the judge has to say, okay.
Yes, yes.
I don't know if they've used any of those.
I don't believe they've used any of those, and they're called peremptory challenges. And so you can use a peremptory challenge pretty much for anything. The color of someone's hair, the way that they look at you, the way that they're not looking at you. And then you have other challenges for cause. So if you have a direct reason that someone shouldn't sit on the jury, they're related to you, or things of that nature, you can use those at length if you need to. But I don't believe any of the preemptory challenges have been used yet, which is good.
No, it's going for all of the publicity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we're moving right along.
I think all of us have been surprised. All right, this case has attracted protesters near the courthouse, so Judge Beverly Canoni reinstated a buffer zone, even extended it. One of the jurors from the first trial told us that he could hear protesters during the deliberations. Take a listen.
We were able to hear them usually during lunchtime, during the recess, and when Karen or her team or somebody, right, of substantial, but usually it's Karen coming in, they were cheering. It wasn't so distracting for us, but it became more apparent as we were doing the deliberations clearly on the last day.
As an officer of the court, when you hear that, do you think that protesting somehow taints the process? And has Judge Beverly Canoni found
I think it does a little bit.
I would say, as an officer of the court, it can get a little annoying because you want all of the evidence to be focused just on the 4 walls in that room. Judge Canoni, as all judges say, don't do outside research. Just focus on what you hear inside of this courtroom. And how can you not if there are crowds of people just outside? You know, so it can get a little distracting and a little unnerving because you want it to be fair and impartial. And I think that, you know, it's a good point to be raised.
All right. Well, you should know that there is expected to be a hearing tomorrow where some protesters say that their First Amendment rights are being infringed and they want to be allowed to get closer to the courthouse. All right, let's take some viewer questions now. We've been receiving a lot of them over the last couple of days since jury selection began. Most of them are related to the jury. Let's start with this question from Megan. She wants to know, will the jury be sequestered? Of course they were not last time. Should they be this time?
I think they should be this time. I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure regardless who gets picked. And I think it's all about preserving their integrity and their privacy. If they decide to come forward after, like other jurors did in the first case, that's their choice. But give them the opportunity to do their job. I think that's the most important thing here.
Can that happen during the trial?
It shouldn't happen during the trial, and it's not supposed to happen during the trial because the jury should be able to see the evidence, see how witnesses testify, see the cadence of the room. So that should happen. I don't know if it'll happen, but it'd be a really, really good idea. It'll probably never happen, but
yeah, it'd be unpopular.
It'd be really unpopular. But
Morgiana, there have been more firsts in this trial.
Yes, exactly.
So let's not rule anything out.
Exactly.
All right, a lot of national attention. We've been talking about that. That brings us to our next viewer question from Sharon. She asks, why didn't they move the trial to another court in another area? Because of all of this publicity. Why is it still in the Dedham courthouse?
Because you still have to have a jury of her peers. And at this point, whether you had it in Norfolk County, Suffolk County, Plymouth County, everyone has, unfortunately, heard about this case in one way, shape, or form. I think we're trying to create the cleanest jury pool that we can, and having it in Norfolk County really makes sense. They haven't really raised any issues not to have it in Norfolk County, but I think you really can't escape it no matter what county you put the case in.
Great.
All right, Morgiana, we covered a lot of ground. Thank you very much.
Of course.
If you have any questions about this trial, feel free to send them our way. All you need to do is email us at the address you see on your screen, canton.confidential@nbcuni.com. We will answer as many questions as we can.
We appreciate it. Remember, NBC 10 Boston, your source for everything related to the Karen Read trial. Don't forget to tune in weeknights at 7 for a full recap of the day's court proceedings right here on Canton Confidential.
So those of you who have heard of the Karen Read case, do you think she did it?
That wasn't so bad. Maybe Jeffy and Tails from Sonic David isn't so bad. I hate shovels. I don't really care about them shovels. Try not to laugh, Sonic David. Try not to laugh, Sonic.
Yeah, I'm still up.
And I'm like, I hate shovels. I don't really care about them shovels. Hit me with that change and then shovels. I don't really care about them shovels.
Hmm.
Could I have just the last chocolate milk?
Yeah, come get it. Hang on, guys. Okay, sorry, guys. The kiddo wanted to get his chocolate milk. I had him hand me a soda, too.
Open it.
Okay, sorry. Hey, Bianca. You did say you were gonna be back. Oh, shit. It's 4 in the morning for me. Hang on, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
I can't believe I'm in this weekend. Green light, red light. Green light, red light. Green light, red light. Green light, red light.
No, I wasn't in the bathroom. I should have probably went to the bathroom, but I was taking care of the kiddo. Okay, we're gonna find something true crime in color again. Get high, color, you know. Yes, ma'am.
Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. I don't care. I just drink my chocolate milk and my Gatorade and my, that's not... What's up? I'm sorry, boy. What's up? I see my brother. Welcome to the camera. Whoa.
I'm here. There's people here. It's just they're not talking. I don't know which page to color. That one's pretty. I don't know. Hang on. I don't know which one to call her, guys. Whatever, I'm not gonna call her right now. Yeah, that's true. Hey guys, I think I am gonna start the stream over. So come to the new stream. I'm restarting it right away. So just go to my channel and just wait. It'll pop up. I'll be right back, guys. Especially UX, because I need a mod. Alright, see you in a minute.